Cardinal Authority senior writer Michael McCammon here, live from Orlando. Publisher Jody Demling, where you're down there covering the Citrus Bowl as the Cardinals are preparing to take on LSU on New Year's Eve. Jody, how are things down in Orlando?
Well, they're warm. I'll take that. No, it's great. I'm enjoying the time, and Louisville is seemingly enjoying the time. I know I've had a lot of people ask. I've done a lot of radio shows on a lot of things this week, and every question is Louisville ready for this game? And everything from every indication I can see, and we don't get to be there a lot, but from what we are there, every indication I can see, Louisville is prepared for this game. The Cardinals have had a really good practice they had a bad practice on Monday when they got here.
Which is kind of expected after the travel,
and it was a short day. Much better on Tuesday and really good on Wednesday as the Cardinals again prepare for LSU. And first of all, let's start with defense. Let's start with Jonathan Grenard and what he's going to have to do in this game because Jonathan Grenard is now James Hearns. James Hearns is not available for this game because of after the shooting incident. He's not available for this game. Henry Famura is not available for this game. So Jonathan Grenard and Devontae Fields are going to have to play a lot of snaps. It's going to have to be they're not going to come off the field.
Which, this can be good for Jonathan Grenard and his future. I mean, he's been, getting some spot play and looked good when he's been doing it throughout the season, but now being thrust into this kind of role, that could give us a good clue and give him some important reps looking forward to the future. But, yeah, big opportunity for him.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And I think he's up for it. My only problem or my only issue, I guess, is the fact that when Jonathan Grenard or Devontae Fields needs a blow, I don't know who's going to give it to him.
Yeah, where do you go?
I mean, Gary McRae is going to have to play. Gary McRae did not redshirt this year. He did play in a couple games on special teams. He's going to have to be the guy, I think, in this one. You're going to see Gary McRae is going to have to play some snaps, and let's just hope that he's ready.
And a guy, he had a lot of expectations coming into the year. A lot of people early on were wondering where he was, but clearly, further down on the depth chart, trying to learn that game plan as well. So we'll see how much he's, learned over the last few months and how much he can play at this level.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, Todd Grantham's had a couple weeks to teach him up, and we'll see. Like I said, we'll see what he can do. But I expect that he will be the guy, and I think he'll be just fine. On the offensive side, I've had a lot of people ask me, well, who expect big games from? Who would be this? Who would be that? I have said on the boards, I think Jalen Smith's going to have a really big game. I think he's in the game plan quite a bit. I do think Reggie Bonifant will have a big game. I know he's in the game plan quite a bit as well. And, kind of an interesting twist to one here that I'm writing about today that I found out is, and I kind of forgot about this, but, there's a running back on the Louisville roster who I think's had a pretty darn good year, not named Brandon Radcliffe, who just happens to be that he was snubbed by LSU, and he wanted to go to LSU. He wanted to play for LSU, and he's a Louisiana boy, Jeremy Smith. And he feels kind of like, this is maybe a little payback for him. So he could have a big game in store.
Yeah, and those are the type of situations where they can be real big motivators. We've seen it in the past on both sides of the ball. So, I think it's a great point. And you've also reported, Jody, on CardinalAuthority.com, that Lamar Jackson, the Heisman winner, has been looking pretty good in practices down there.
He has, and I think it's only normal that people are kind of wondering, is Lamar, what's he really like? You know what I mean? He went through everything that he went through. I mean, good grief, who would be? I mean, I wouldn't. It'd be tough for me to focus.
Cloud nine. I mean, you're going to be on cloud nine for quite a while.
It'd be tough for me to focus. I sure know that. But from all indication, he looks pretty good. And again, knock on wood, they're saying all the right things, and Lamar looks like he's primed and ready to go for this. And I'll tell you another one. Brandon Radcliffe looked as fast as I've seen him for the 15 minutes we got to watch practice on Tuesday. Or let me phrase it. For the 15 minutes that I got to watch practice on Tuesday, since there's nobody else down here. There's still that amazes me, but that's for another podcast to rip on the local media. But yeah, it's Brandon Radcliffe looked as fast as I can remember in that practice, and I think that's a good thing for Louisville, because think back, Michael, when Brandon Radcliffe has been at his best this year, it has been what games? Florida State, Boston College, and NC State, the three of his best games. Oh boy, what happened in those games? Louisville rolled. Yeah. It was much easier.
Now, here's a question I know a lot of people are curious about, especially because of the way Louisville ended the year, and it really was glaring in that Houston game, was how effective is the offensive line going to be? I mean, LSU, and we'll get to this a little bit, had a chance to talk with Billy Embody, the publisher over at TigerBlitz.com, and you can be assured that LSU's looking at those tapes and expecting to come hard, fast, and heavy at the Louisville front and try to contain Lamar Jackson that way. Do you think the offensive line, with this extra time, has been able to prepare for something like that?
Yeah, and I do think, Tobias Hewley made a good point to me when I asked him about the difference, and he said, this is a defense that, this is not a statement that they're taking anything away from this defense, because they know how talented they are, but this is a defense that's not going to try to trick you. They're not going to run double stunts. They're not going to flip around. They're not going to do a lot. They're going to line up, come straight at you, and come after you. And I think that is much better for this offensive line. I think the more this offensive line, unfortunately, the more they had to think, the worse it got for them in the Houston game.
Now, we'll still, we'll get to our predictions and stuff, as we get closer to game time. But at this point, I know you've mentioned Jalen Smith, but anybody else you think might be a surprise in the bowl game?
I think on the defensive side of things, I think, look for Josh Harvey-Clemens finally healthy again, or for the most part healthy again, to come up with a big game. And I think that, like I said, Radcliffe and Jalen Smith, I think, are guys on the offense. I still, though, if I'm picking MVP, I'm going to go with that number 8 guy.
Yeah, kind of hard not to.
Yeah, it totally is, Michael. It's going to be fun. It's going to be an exciting game, and I'm pumped up to see what happens.
Now, obviously, now that Christmas is over, people are going to start hopping in their cars, hopping on a plane, and getting down to Orlando. After talking to Billy earlier from TigerBlitz.com, it sounds like plenty to do, obviously, in Orlando. Great weather. So hopefully we'll see a lot of Cardinal fans down there to take advantage of all that. Yeah,
no, it's great weather. It's actually going to be supposedly in the low 70s on game day, so it'll be a very nice day at Camping World Stadium. And hey, Card fans, if you're coming down, stay for the next day and check out Russ Easton, C.J. Avery, and the boys in the Under Armour game. Same stadium, I told them you could just go right back and see your next favorite Cards.
Very busy place. We've got the Russell Athletic Bowl, Citrus Bowl, and then the Under Armour game going on. So plenty to do down there, that's for certain. But Jody, we'll check in again with you as we get closer to New Year's Eve and bowl game. But enjoy yourself down there, and we'll continue looking at your reports at CardinalAuthority.com.
All right. Thanks, Michael.
All right. Thanks, Jody.
Michael McCammon here of Cardinal Authority. Excited to bring on our next guest, Billy Embody, the publisher of TigerBlitz.com. Billy, you're currently down in Orlando watching as the Tigers are getting ready for this big Citrus Bowl against our Louisville Cardinals. First of all, you recently just saw LSU practice. How are they looking, and how are they preparing for this game?
Yeah, that was actually the first full start-to-finish practice an LSU group of media has seen in years.
Wow!
So we after we got over the it was great. It was great to watch. Spirited. It was competition Wednesday, turnover Wednesday for the Tigers, which is just all focused on forcing turnovers, something that they'll really have to be focused on against Louisville to take advantage of. And it was a lot of competition, though. Every drill was all about competing, forcing those turnovers, and that was start to finish. And the message was the same from the coaching staff: force turnovers and recover those turnovers as well, their fumbles, and take advantage of them. So a real spirited practice, and they look good. They look pretty sharp.
Yeah, turnovers is certainly an area that Louisville has struggled with all year. That sounds like it's something that you guys have noticed and are hoping to obviously work in your favor. When you look at Louisville, obviously everybody knows about the Heisman winner in Lamar Jackson and the great year that he had. The Cardinals obviously did stumble down the end of the stretch, losing their last two. And because of that, actually, I think Louisville and LSU are kind of in a similar situation where both teams, didn't live up to the expectations I think they had hoped. With Louisville, the way they finished, and obviously LSU, much bigger expectations before the season started. Because of that, I guess the LSU faithful, are they excited for the bowl game? Do you expect a good turnout from the Tiger fans?
I think so. LSU will for the most part always travel really well, and I do think there's some excitement, especially because they're facing Lamar Jackson and the Heisman Trophy winner.
Sure.
So that's really where the excitement comes from, I think, for them. On the flip side of that, everyone wants to win national championships and SEC championships at LSU every single year. That's always the goal. And if you're not in position to do one of those things, it's going to be disappointing for them. So there's that caveat to it, of course. But for the most part, everyone's pretty excited about facing Lamar Jackson, facing the Louisville Cardinals in this bowl. And, it's a high-profile matchup. I would say it's the highest-profile semifinal game out there for the most part. And, just the matchups, the intrigue, all of that. So this is a big time game.
Yeah, certainly getting a lot of pub, from the national media as one of the best bowl games outside the college football playoff, and have to agree with you there because of the, the names and the marquee players that are going to be in it. And obviously nationally, a lot is being said that, one of the marquee players for LSU not going to play in Leonard Fournette. But for those that have been watching LSU, throughout the season, they know it's just not Leonard Fournette that can carry the ball. I mean, you guys have somebody else who actually led the Tigers in rushing this year. Give the Cardinal fans, I guess, a glimpse on what kind of runner, you can expect out of him.
Yeah, Darius Geis is absolutely, I think, better than Leonard Fournette. That's just my opinion. Leonard Fournette is a once-in-a-lifetime athlete playing running back, and he really is just his strength and combination of speed, size, and balance that he brings to the table is just so rare. But in terms of true running back and vision and having the moves and the wiggle and all of that, Darius Geis absolutely brings that to the table. Coach Orgeron labeled him a bigger, stronger Reggie Bush earlier. So high praise from Ed Orgeron there for sure on Darius Geis. And so that's kind of what you're getting. You're getting a guy who can run between the tackles, sees holes. He's a smaller back than Leonard Fournette. He's not, a sawed-off running back and short, but he is, also not 6'2", 6'3", and pushes 230. So he's got those moves that he can put the spin on you, and he can put the brakes on, and you'll run right by. I mean, he has had some dazzling runs and set the single game rushing record for LSU just a couple weeks after Leonard Fournette set it. So that just tells you the kind of class of running back Louisville's going to have to defend on Saturday.
And you mentioned once-in-a-lifetime athletes. Obviously, Louisville has one of their own, the Heisman winner, Lamar Jackson, setting, both school, ACC, NCAA records, touchdowns responsible for, rushing yards for quarterback. And he's shown to become, obviously a little bit more adept in the passing game as well. Anything special that you're aware of, or if you want to share it, if you are aware, that LSU's defense might be doing to prepare for such an elusive athlete as Lamar Jackson?
I'm really interested to see what they're going to do to defend him, because Dave Aranda had alluded to them wanting to play more out of a base 3-4 defense, which is what Dave Aranda was really brought in to change. And for the most part of the year, LSU really operated out of a 4-man front, and that was just kind of, out of necessity for personnel and how much better LSU played out of that set. So, it'll be interesting to see. I do know they worked a little bit of dime and a lot of nickel back in Baton Rouge. So I think they're going to mix up personnel. I think they're going to mix up how they bring pressure against Lamar Jackson. But Dave Aranda's going to be going on close to a month here to prepare for this one. Mm-hmm. I think a little bit over if my math is right, actually. And he's going to bring a lot of different pressures. That's one thing that Dave Aranda does very well, is he will disguise pressure. He will bring it from all over. And with this amount of time to prepare for a player like Lamar Jackson, I'd imagine that's exactly what he's planning to do.
And we're joined by Billy Embody, the publisher at TigerBlitz.com on the Scout.com network. And before I let you go, Billy, one last question. There are a lot of fans from both Baton Rouge throughout the state of Louisiana and Louisville and throughout the Bluegrass State are going to start making their way down to Orlando now that Christmas is over. What's the atmosphere down there like? And are you aware of any, events that for both schools to go out and attend and enjoy themselves?
Yeah, they had a big welcome dinner. Buffalo Wild Wings. Both teams are heading over to Magic Kingdom to get some time there. I think there's another theme park visit